Do you ever feel like you experience the world differently than everyone else? Maybe bright lights are overwhelming, or certain textures just feel wrong. Or perhaps you barely notice things others react strongly to. What if I told you there's a whole spectrum of how our brains process sensory information, and understanding it can unlock a new level of self-awareness and empathy? When we talk about sensory processing, we aren't just talking about five senses in a vacuum. We're talking about the very interface between your internal self and the external universe. For decades, we've tried to put these experiences into neat little boxes. We use clinical labels and diagnostic codes, often framing anything outside the norm as a deficit. But what if we move beyond those labels? What if we looked at the human brain not as something that is either broken or fixed, but as a finely tuned instrument, each one calibrated to a slightly different frequency? To understand this spectrum, we first have to understand the journey of a single sensation. Imagine you're sitting in a crowded coffee shop. To your brain, this is a chaotic battlefield of data. There's the scent of roasted beans, the hiss of the espresso machine, the tactile pressure of the chair against your back, the visual strobe of people passing by the window, and the internal signals of your own heartbeat. For most people, the brain acts like a seasoned secretary, filing the important stuff away and shredding the rest. It prioritizes the conversation you're having over the sound of the dishwasher in the back. But for someone with sensory processing differences, that secretary might be overwhelmed, or perhaps they've gone on strike entirely. On one end of this spectrum, we have hypersensitivity, often called sensory overresponsivity. This is where the world is turned up to 11. If you're a sensory avoider, your brain doesn't just hear the hum of a refrigerator, it hears a roar. The tag on the back of a shirt isn't a minor annoyance, it's a localized emergency, a constant scraping against your nervous system that demands attention. This isn't a matter of being picky or difficult or dramatic. It's a physiological reality where the nervous system is in a constant state of high alert, a perpetual fight or flight response triggered by things most people don't even register. Imagine living your life with your skin feeling like it's been sunburned, where every touch, light, and sound is a direct, stinging impact on that sensitivity. It is physically and mentally exhausting to navigate a world that wasn't built for your level of volume. Yet, this end of the spectrum also comes with a profound depth of perception. These are the individuals who notice the subtle shift in a person's tone of voice, the intricate layers of a symphony, or the way the light hits a leaf in a way that feels almost spiritual. Their world is vivid, detailed, and deeply felt. Then, we travel to the opposite side of the spectrum, hypo-sensitivity, or sensory under-responsivity. This is the muted world. For these individuals, the brain secretary is a bit too good at their job, filtering out so much information that the world feels distant, fuzzy, or dull. These are often the seekers. Because their internal volume is turned down so low, they crave deep pressure, loud music, or bright colors just to feel grounded in their own bodies. They are the ones who might spin until they're dizzy without ever losing their balance, or who need to fidget, pace, or chew on something to keep their brain awake and focused. To the outside world, seekers might seem restless, reckless, or even aggressive, but in reality, they are just trying to feed a hungry nervous system that is starving for input. Without that extra stimulation, they might feel like they are floating in a void, disconnected from their own physical presence. Understanding this helps us see that the child jumping off the couch isn't misbehaving, they are essentially checking in with their body to make sure it's still there. But here is the catch: the spectrum isn't a straight line between too much and not enough. It's more like a complex equalizer on a professional soundboard. You might be incredibly sensitive to sound, needing noise-canceling headphones just to walk down the street, but simultaneously have a muted sense of touch that leads you to crave heavy blankets. You might have a high pain tolerance, barely flinching at a scrape, but be completely overwhelmed by the smell of a citrus fruit or the flickering of a fluorescent light. This is where the labels start to fail us. When we say someone is neurodivergent, it's a helpful starting point, but it doesn't capture the lived nuance of how they navigate a grocery store or a high-pressure office. It doesn't explain the specific sensory profile that makes one environment a sanctuary and another a nightmare. We have to look at the hidden senses too, like proprioception, which tells you where your body is in space, and interoception, which helps you feel internal states like hunger, thirst, or heartbeat. Differences in these areas can make someone feel clumsy or lead them to forget to eat because they simply don't feel the signal of hunger until it's a full-blown crisis. Understanding this diversity changes how we look at empathy. True empathy isn't just imagining how you would feel in someone else's shoes, it's realizing that the shoes themselves feel different to them than they do to you. It's acknowledging that your normal might be someone else's painful. When we stop viewing sensory differences as problems to be solved or behaviors to be corrected, and start viewing them as orientations to be understood, we create a more inclusive world. Think about the way we design our society. Most public spaces are built for the average sensory profile, bright, loud, and bustling. But what if we started designing for the edges of the spectrum? When we create quiet zones, use softer lighting, or allow for flexible movement in schools and workplaces, we aren't just helping a small minority. We are making the world more comfortable for everyone. We stop shaming people for needing to move while they learn, and we recognize that a meltdown isn't a tantrum, it's a system crash from an overloaded processor that has run out of bandwidth. There is an incredible, untapped strength in this variation. The person who is hyper-aware of their surroundings might be the most talented artist, noticing shades of color others miss, or the most intuitive investigator, picking up on microscopic cues. The person who seeks intense input might be a resilient athlete, a daring explorer, or a high-energy leader who can thrive in fast-paced environments that would drain others. By embracing the spectrum, we unlock the full potential of human diversity. We learn that there is no right way to perceive the world, only different ways. As we move forward, the goal isn't to normalize everyone into a beige middle ground or to cure someone of their sensitivity. The goal is to build a world that is flexible enough to hold all of us, the seekers, the avoiders, and everyone navigating the complex layers in between. It starts with self-awareness. It starts with you looking at your own sensory soundboard and realizing why you love the feeling of a certain fabric or why a specific pitch of noise makes your skin crawl. Once you understand your own wiring, it becomes so much easier to respect the wiring of the person standing next to you. It turns frustration into curiosity. Instead of asking why are they acting like that, we start asking how is their world reaching them right now? This shift in perspective is the key to moving beyond labels and into a space of true connection. We are all navigating a sea of data, trying to make sense of the signals we receive. Some of us are sailing on calm waters, while others are navigating a storm, but we are all part of the same vast, sensory ocean. If you like this content, drop a comment and subscribe. Would you like me to dive deeper into how we can adapt our homes and workspaces to fit different sensory profiles, or perhaps explore the link between sensory processing and creativity? Let me know your thoughts below.